On a warm December morning in 1948, the sun rose over Somerton Park Beach in Adelaide, Australia, revealing a sight that would spark a decades-long investigation. A well-dressed man was found leaning against a sea wall, looking as if he were merely asleep. He was dead, and he carried no identification, no wallet, and no obvious cause of death. Every label had been meticulously removed from his clothing, leaving him a blank slate in a world of growing Cold War tensions. This discovery was the beginning of a puzzle that involved secret codes, hidden pockets, and a rare Persian book of poetry. For over 70 years, his name and his mission remained a total mystery. Let's go deep into the well. The initial discovery at Somerton Beach was marked by a professional level of anonymity that immediately frustrated the local police. The man appeared to be in his late 40s, in top physical condition, and dressed in a high-quality suit, despite the warm weather. When the investigators searched his pockets, they found nothing that could identify him. There were no keys, no money, and no letters. Most curiously, every single tag and label had been cut out of his jacket, shirt, and trousers. It was as if someone had gone to great lengths to ensure that his clothes could not be traced back to a specific shop or manufacturer. His shoes were remarkably clean, suggesting he had not walked far on the sand before he died. The initial professional assessment was that this was a man who did not want to be found, or perhaps, a man who had been professionally erased. He was a ghost on the shore, a physical presence with no history, resting against the sea wall while the world began its morning routine around him. The autopsy only added more layers to the functional mystery of the case. The medical examiner found no signs of violence or struggle on the body. The internal organs showed massive congestion, and the spleen was 3 times its normal size. These were symptoms consistent with poisoning, yet no trace of any known toxin was found in his system. It was as if he had been killed by a substance that left no chemical footprint, a professional tool of an assassin or a spy. Another anomaly was his physical appearance. His calf muscles were high and pronounced, like those of a ballet dancer or a long-distance runner, and his toes were strangely shaped, suggesting he frequently wore pointed or tight-fitting shoes. Despite his healthy exterior, his life had ended abruptly and silently. The professional medical community was baffled. They had a body, but no cause of death, and a subject who possessed physical traits that did not match the profile of a common laborer or a local resident. In January 1949, a functional breakthrough occurred when a brown suitcase was discovered at the Adelaide railway station. It had been checked in just a day before the body was found. Inside, police found more clothing with the labels removed, except for 3 items marked with the name Keane. They also found a variety of tools, including a zinc-coated knife and a stenciling brush. The name Keane led investigators to believe they had finally found his identity, but after an exhaustive professional search, no missing person named Keane could be linked to the man on the beach. They realized that if the man had gone to such lengths to remove other labels, the Keane tags might have been a deliberate functional deception, a false trail left to confuse the authorities. The suitcase was a collection of contradictions, providing plenty of data but no real answers. It suggested a man who was mobile, prepared, and operating under a system of secrecy that was far more advanced than a typical traveler. Months after the body was found, a microscopic search of the man's clothing revealed a hidden pocket sewn into the lining of his trousers. Inside was a tiny, rolled-up piece of paper with 2 words printed on it, Tamám Shud. This phrase, which means ended or finished in Persian, was traced back to a rare book of poetry called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. This discovery shifted the investigation from a local mystery to a professional hunt for a specific book. After a public appeal, a man came forward claiming he had found a copy of the Rubaiyat tossed into the back of his car, which had been parked near Somerton Beach around the time of the death. The final page of this specific book had been torn out, and the fragment found in the man's pocket matched the book perfectly. The book was a functional bridge between the body and a secret world of coded messages. On the back cover, investigators found 5 lines of capital letters that appeared to be a complex, unbreakable cipher. The cipher found in the back of the book was a professional challenge for military intelligence and codebreakers. The letters were arranged in a way that suggested a one-time pad or a specific functional code used for espionage. Despite the efforts of the best cryptographers in the country, the message could not be cracked. To this day, it remains one of the most famous unsolved ciphers in the world. Beside the code was a phone number that led to a woman living in Glenelg, a suburb near Somerton Beach. When the police interviewed her, she claimed she knew nothing about the man, but she became visibly shaken when shown a plaster cast of his face. She admitted she had owned a copy of the Rubaiyat but had given it to an army officer named Alf Boxall during the war. The police thought they had found their man, but Boxall was found alive and still possessed the book she had given him. The trail had led to another professional dead end, leaving the cipher as a silent witness to a secret mission. The woman from Glenelg, known by the pseudonym Justin, became a central but elusive figure in the case. Her professional background as a nurse and her residence near the beach made her a logical point of contact. She remained tight-lipped and refused to cooperate fully with the investigation. Decollecting the data years later, many researchers believed she was the functional key to the Somerton man's identity. Some theorized that the man was her former lover and that they had a child together. This theory gained weight when it was discovered that her son possessed the same rare ear and tooth anomalies as the Somerton man. This suggested a biological link that was far too specific to be a coincidence. Justin took her secrets to the grave, and without her testimony, the professional link between the beach and the nursery remained a matter of speculation. The case was stuck in a loop of personal tragedy and geopolitical shadows, where every answer only raised a new set of questions. The Cold War context of 1948 provided a functional backdrop for the theory that the Somerton man was a spy. Adelaide was a hub for sensitive military research at the time, specifically at the Woomera long-range weapons establishment. A man found dead with no identity, no labels, and a secret code in a rare book fit the professional profile of an intelligence operative perfectly. The fact that his cause of death was likely a sophisticated poison only added to this narrative. Some researchers suggested he was a Soviet agent, while others thought he was working for Western intelligence. The secrecy surrounding the case for decades was seen by many as a functional cover-up by the government to protect sensitive information. In an era of high-stakes espionage, the Somerton man was a casualty of a silent war, a professional who had been discarded on a public beach after his mission had reached its final, tragic conclusion of Tamám Shud. For over 70 years, the Somerton man lay in a grave marked only by the date of his discovery. The professional advancement of DNA technology finally provided a way to solve the mystery. In 2021, the body was exhumed for forensic testing. A team led by Professor Abbott used hair samples trapped in the original plaster bust to build a functional genetic profile. In July 2022, they announced a breakthrough. The DNA suggested the man was Carl Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. Webb had gone missing around the time of the discovery, and his family history matched the genetic data. He was not a high-profile spy or a dancer, he was a man with a troubled marriage and a penchant for gambling and poetry. This revelation stripped away the professional glamour of the spy theory and replaced it with a domestic reality. Carl Webb had traveled to Adelaide, perhaps to find his estranged wife, and had ended his life on the beach with a book of poetry in his pocket. The identification of Carl Webb as the Somerton man solved the question of who he was, but it did not solve the mystery of how he died or the meaning of the code. The functional purpose of the cipher and the reason for the removed labels remain unknown. Some suggest that Webb, an engineer, used the code for his own private records or as part of a betting system. Others believe there is still a professional secret yet to be uncovered. The case of the Somerton man is a reminder that even in the age of science, some parts of a human life remain inaccessible. The Somerton man was a ghost for 74 years until science gave him back his name. Carl Webb's journey ended on a quiet beach, but the letters he wrote in the back of a book still haunt the imagination of investigators. It is a story of love, loss, and the secrets we carry to the grave. Subscribe, ring the bell, and thanks for watching. Don't forget. I will see you at the bottom of the well.